How's everybody doing tonight? Checking on a few things. Ooh, man, I'm struggling. I think I need a vacation. So you see it, Mr. Smith. Gonna talk a little bit about Vista Equity. Just covering a few of the tech CEOs. I got one on Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. So I was like, yeah, let me do one on my man today and see how that's going. Let me see. There we go. Just check my little back office. Shout out to Helmet for joining me. I know he might have to catch the replay, but it's all good. So you see it. So we're about to get started. Oh man. So I just want to do Robert Smith. Like I said, I'm doing a few CEOs. I'm gonna do a CEO owner type playlist for tech. So let's get into it. Once again, if you got any questions, just throw them in the box. You know how we do it. Anything cybersecurity tech related, once again, just put it in the box. Let me see. I'll do that later on. I'll put my man's channel in there. I just share. Go check out AI and me. One of the good fellas out there, definitely doing artificial machine learning. So I just shared his channel. Go subscribe to it. So let's get at it. You know, as an ex-professor, I like PowerPoints. So once again, just put the chat in the chat if you want. We get at it. Like I said, I'm struggling today. So just gonna read a few things and just kind of chop it up about it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to start with. So what made Robert Smith different? Now, of course, is he's engineer. He received his MBA in 1994. He joined Goldman Sachs. Right, most tech guys don't go into investment banking. Right, first New York City and then in Silicon Valley as co-head of enterprise system and storage. He executed and advised over 50 million in mergers and acquisitions with companies such as Apple, Microsoft, Texas, eBay. He was the first person at Goldman's San Francisco office to focus solely on mergers and acquisitions in technology and software, right? So that's why he started his firm, right? He was doing it for Goldman, so he just decided to do it for itself, right? So that's why I always kind of tell people in tech, you want to go work for somebody for a little while, even if you're going to start your own thing, right? So start your own thing, then you get to learn from the ground up, right? And we're going to talk about that too when we talk about labbing and I work for consulting company, so that's kind of how I learn. Work with great people and superstars, right? That's how you get better at your craft. So, and two is we always talk about ownership and technology, right? So that's one reason make me want to do this. So he created his in 2000. He found Vista Equity to invest in businesses that develop and use technology and data to promote economic equity, ecological responsibility, and diversity, inclusion for prosperity of all. I appreciate it, First Gen. Thanks for joining me, man. Uh, Vista achieves its mission for creating opportunity through the power of technology by using a variety of private equity, permanent capital, credit, public equity, and investment strategies. Right. So, Luke, casual and comments, glad you can join me. So, like I said, we talk about ownership. So that's kind of what Robert did. He worked for the big Goldman Sachs. You can't get much bigger than them in the investment game. And once again, he just pivoted that into doing his own company, Vista. We'll look at some of the companies he's on and kind of how he buys them, builds them up. Some of them he does public, some of them he sells to other Fortune 500 companies. I went to Silicon Valley. Oh my God, it's probably a decade ago. What people don't realize is there's a slew of millionaires you never heard of because they built some software, built some technology. Then Apple comes and buys it for like 40 or 50 million because they need that one little thing into their operation. And I'm gonna do Larry Ellison of Oracle because that's how I made my first background database. He bought, I think, over the last 5 years, they said he bought over 300 companies, right? Because he's picking and choosing stuff to put in his portfolio, right, to add to Oracle's uh software and enterprise stuff, right? And that's kind of what he does. He just does it, I won't say on a smaller scale because he's a billionaire, but right? What Oracle buys, they be spending $1 billion. Like they bought a couple companies. They bought WebLogic for some crazy amount of money. Oracle used to have like 3 web servers, right? So that's kind of what he's doing. Just at I ain't gonna say smaller level, just a mid-size and large level. And we're gonna touch into that, what he's buying, right? So he has a BS in chemical engineering, which I thought was kind of different. The MBA concentration for finance and marketing for Columbia, right? Big time school. And like we just talked about, he received his MBA in '94. He joined Goldman Sachs in tech investment banking, first in New York City, then Silicon Valley. Then he co-headed enterprise system storage, executed over 50 million mergers and acquisitions. Apple, Microsoft, I don't even know if Texas Instrument even exists, eBay, Yahoo. He was the first person at Goldman Sachs to focus solely on acquisitions. That's what I said enough. But once again, shout out to Black Heights. You always talking about business and technology, right? So you join those together, then you own something, right? So you can, build something and sell, or you can buy something and stitch it together, right? Because let's be honest, a lot of tech guys don't have business acumen, right? So they can build something. Somebody comes in like him and takes it to the next level, getting it ready to go on the stock market, right? New York Stock Exchange. A lot of times tech goes on that. Just, hey, Miss Creative, glad you could join. So I just thought that was what to say, because we always talk about ownership, right? So, and two is one of the few, brothers that's in that level of that technology, right? So his thing is he's an investor in transformative company, a champion of diversity and inclusion, steward of culture, the environment, equity, and education. His early life, beginning career, and founder of technology. Once again, Vista Equity Partners, dedication for serving and giving back to communities. Our planet through innovation, expansion, philanthropy giving, right? I always forget, a friend of mine majored in philanthropy. I never think about that as being a major unto itself. But when you're giving away that much money, right, there's taxes, just the connections, you putting that together, right, as a competitive advantage, right? Shout out to him. He paid for the people at Howard's college, fund. So definitely he's giving back and doing some good things. Let's say once again, enterprise software, data technology, permanent capital credit. And that's too, is I don't think we understand what enterprise technology is, right? I work for some big, I work for Khaki, and I work with the Oracle guys. So when you see software sales of $1 million going to the government, right, for databases, right, that's just for databases. And I work with a guy, I never forget, a cool guy named Jim Sarikas. He was one of the top DBAs in the Midwest. His bill rate was $300 an hour. So that was $600,000 for one guy. I never forgot. We were talking about, okay, we're going to lay people off. He was cool. He's like, man, I'm just going to go back to Oracle. Y'all say $600,000. Everybody else can say, State said, but he trained us up, right? So he taught us those different techniques. But when I saw one guy bill rate over $500,000, I was confused. But then as I start working for Khaki, you always see practice managers and directors that come on projects for a little bit. I seen one guy bill rate was like $800 an hour. I was like, dude, are you worth $800? But that's what those big companies, those big consulting firms, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCooper, that's what those guys charge, right? So when they come on, so when you're talking about enterprise software, you can easily, spend $10 million on. Shout out to Struggle Security. For his 10, he knows about that big consulting life. But yeah, when you see one guy's bill rate $300, $400, $500 for a practice manager, I was confused when I'm younger. Okay, showed up finally. Did you do anything special, Struggle Security? I can see you on my regular thing. Give my highlight. Shout out to the super chat for the barbecue this weekend. Shout out to First Gen, young guy doing big things. But yeah, so when you talk about Vista and just getting in the enterprise security, right? Let's get that AWS. I had an interview with AWS. It didn't go very well, but my bill rate for a medium person was triple what I make now. I was like, it's crazy. Because when you start talking about stock options, shout out to Tam. They check out Women in Linux. When you talk about restricted stock options and that type of money, I'm old. I've just never seen that, so it was kind of new to me. So yeah, I work for Khaki, man. I hated Khaki. Khaki had a couple contracts, but in that back, yeah, Afghanistan. Oh, facts. I worked for Khaki. Well, I take them back. The company I worked for was a sub of Khaki. Quick story. They tried to hire me. It was like a mafia movie. He wrote the number on a piece of paper and slid it across the table, trying to hire me. It was 90,000. I slid it back over to the table and I got gangster on him. JM, I said, that's a little light, sir. I was like, that's a little light, sir. You got to put couple more zeros on that player. You got to add another 30 on that, right? So now Khaki be trying to be a body shop. So let's see. Oh, that's right. It was your gay baby account. I got to figure out. I checked to see if I accidentally blocked you. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that. Okay, babe. Thanks for coming, though. I got to figure out. I looked to see if I'm like, yeah, Miss Craig, they try to shortchange me. I was about 40, as my mama said. I was feeling myself. He pushed it, I pushed it back. I was like, that's a little light, sir. So shout out to Khaki. But no, they gave me a job offer. Let's get back on my man, Vista. These 10 takeaways he talked about, and that's why I like listening to him. I got a short video. We're gonna chop it up. He's talking to CNBC, and it's short, so we'll look at that at the end. But it's macroeconomics play a new paradigm in global business. He said we're entering a new chapter of global trade, more variables than others, despite efforts from several major countries to invest in technology and supply chains independence, barrier to true self-reliance are high, ensuring global technology remains interlinked for the foreseeable future. And I agree with that. We're struggling now with the supply chain. We can't get chips. Then my buddy works for a large car manufacturer. They can't get parts, right? So when you talk about supply chain, people don't realize the supply chain for Apple, man, they getting like Yugoslavia is doing architecture for the chips. They getting stuff made in Vietnam, Hong Kong, boxes, getting it all put together, putting it on a ship, then shipping them over here right before Christmas. That supply chain is so intertwined and unique. And of course, he's saving so much money. I think they should bring all those jobs back to the United States, so we should tax them. But that's a different subject for a different show, right? So what you pay for iPhone probably total is $50, $60. They charging $900 for the iPhone. Well, I think it was $140, and they were charging $1,100 for the new iPhone. Right? They get you on a payment plan. You don't even know what you're paying for the iPhone. You just making payments for it, right? When you go to Verizon and stuff. So that's what he's talking about when you're talking about supply chain and interdependence, right? And even with software, most big companies got developers in Baghdad, India, different parts of the world, right? And that's one thing. It's good and bad, right? It's called the world is flat, so I get technology developed anywhere, and it gets shipped over here, right? So we were talking about shout out to Citizen Lou. They were finishing up, but a digital nomad is cool, right? So you can do code in Mexico, you can do code in Aruba, but so can Indian guys. I work with a lot of Indians. What they do for Oracle, I wouldn't open up my laptop for that. They do Oracle programming for $20, $25 because the dollar's so strong when you go overseas, right? So when you start competing against people around the world, right? You got to understand what that is and the effect that could have on the future, right, for you and your kids. So the expansion of the digital economy, by and large, corporations have quick to adopt technology as a power enabler innovation, but in recent years, accelerated by the pandemic, government worldwide are recognizing the importance of embracing technology. Beyond leveraging tech-enabled solutions, they're seeing value of empowerment. Their people productivity citizens in a new digital economy, right? So everybody's trying to come up with their digital hub, right? Countries, India, Yugoslavia, and even the States. New York's got a Silicon Alley. Of course, there's Silicon Valley. I think Detroit had one. I don't know if Gabe remember. I think Detroit had their version of Silicon Alley. I'm in the Midwest. I think Chicago's trying to come up with theirs, right? Because the states know those are high-paying jobs, high-paying taxes, better schools. So they're trying to get their citizens to do that, right? And I'm trying to get, that's why I started this channel, trying to get people into tech and specifically cybersecurity. So let's see. Also, code as a service. Yeah, they're trying to do that. Everybody's trying to get code as a service, and we're going to talk about that. One of his companies is QuickBase. I did that 10 years ago. They bought and spun up. It's code as a service or low code, right? So you just put a couple widgets and it'll generate the code underneath for you. So yeah, they're trying to get code as a service. They're actually doing that now because usually you have to do the whole code. Now you just really have to generate a couple screens. It'll automatically hook the database for you. It'll automatically create your objects you're trying to store stuff in. That's really how Salesforce make their money, right? With the light coding. So shout out NC Worker. Appreciate that. Get the likes up. I appreciate that. So yeah, but you're right, Jim. I think they've been doing that quicker and quicker, right? And two is a lot of times is they just send it overseas, right? Sometimes you gotta worry about the quality, but no code is because now you just really stitching together services almost. Like if I need a database, I just call the database API. If I need to insert it in on a file system, just call this API. Just create a couple screens, they automatically create to your object. So it's getting close to that, JM. I'm gonna get with Citizen Lou and start doing some Java again, right? Because it's called Hibernating Spring. They kind of do all that stuff for you, like for the low code. We probably step through that in the future. So the climate crisis, compounding economic disparity, climate change continue to be a major concern. Investor citizen governments at the same time, economic instability, exacerbating existing inequalities with the most vulnerable populations experiencing disproportionate disruption in access to basic services. Software solution companies who provide them are uniquely positioned to affect positive change for both climate and society, right? We can debate climate change. I think it is something. I just really talk about it from a pandemic perspective, right? We were talking about working from home for 30 years. We were talking about that in the early 2000s, but nobody never really did it until you had to do it. And I remember we were just loading PCs up, loading workstations up, getting those configured. So why was I doing that? As part of security, we were helping operations. We wanted to make sure, like we talked about, all those people at MFA, they got their VPN, we got their IP address, right? So we try to lock it down and make sure they have the right equipment. So from a security perspective and operations, it makes it easier for them to work from home, right? So when you VPN, right, you get a static IP or reserved IP for those Windows people. Then we can say only these certain laptops can get to these certain machines or these certain subnets to be able to do their work. All that was really done by the pandemic, right? Realistically, it was really caused by the pandemic. People were just talking, right? Until the pandemic was like, oh, we really got to really do this, right? So now we can talk about if we coming back to work, whatever. But the initial push, the crazy thing now is we proved that you can work from home efficiently in a majority of the jobs, right? So that's the beauty part of it. I work 95% from my house, right? So why does India have so many good software developers and programmers? Now we can discuss if they're good, and that's what I want us to do, JM. I want the United States to say this is what we want to do as a country. India did that because they figured out they can make a great living. You can come to the United States or go back and start companies. So they focused on it as a nation, as a culture, right? We focus on basketball and football. They focus on tech like we focus on sports, right? And they start their kids at a young age. Like I work with a ton of Indians, and we cool. And we actually talked about that, right? So that's kind of their holy grail. Here, if you ain't in sports, you want to be a lawyer or a rapper or a doctor, right there. Their hot thing is you want to be a vice president of a security company in software. Because they know it, because it lifts their whole country out of poverty. Especially when you talking about taking $1 back to India. I was talking to my friends, they had butlers and maids, and they were paying them like $70 a month, right? US. They were paying them like $70 a month. So they had a maid, a butler, a driver. So that's why I think they focus on JM. They just kind of figured out the country. That's their move, right? Strength of software. I'm with that. Software is the most productive tool to introduce the economy in the last 50 years. potential to increase productivity, lower input costs, expand market opportunities for modern enterprise. Consumption continue to grow globally, making it like software remain the most valuable tool in the next 50 years, will increasingly compel opportunities to not just power productivity, but to power the human enterprise, right? And I think India figured that out right there, JM. Productivity over the last 50 years, going to be good for probably another 50 years. Right. So as a country, they said that that's the play. Then if you look at all the big tech, most of the big tech are ran by Indian guys. I know Google is. Oracle used to be. He left, I think, went to Google. A lot of top guys are Indian. Software is durable. Recent events have cemented software position in mission critical solutions for businesses across the globe. During the height of the pandemic, provided continuity to work in education, connection, boosting the value of software companies, even as sectors experience tumultuous market. This resilience in tandem in software, highly predictive revenue model, presenting evergreen and enduring investment, right? So companies you never thought about was Zoom went off the market. Anything was collaboration, Microsoft Teams off the chart. So there were just so many. I use this little thing I use, right? Restream IO, all these things, OBS, right? Because you could do YouTube, but you can collab with it. So I get on here, right? And I have personal meetings with people, talk about different things. So it's just so many different things you can do in software. What's up, John? Glad you can join us. So yeah, we talked about that, and JM, that's it. And two is I'm a big software developer, but the IT domain is so big, and cybersecurity is a subdomain is big. So it doesn't have to be in software development, right? Networking is a form of software, right? Even though I do the programming, the network's gonna move the packets, right? It's gonna do the query. You go through the OSI model for everybody studying for them search. You get your OSI model or your TCP/IP model, right? Where you go from the bare metal of the card all the way back top to the application moving, right? So even if you're doing software, if you're networking, that's how you move those, because it's gonna get down to what? Binary 1010, right? Get you a nibble, four bits, right? So that's software at the height of it. So it's just not software, right? All that is software layers on top of each other. Once again, we're gonna look at some of the companies. I pulled up the security companies, of course, because I'm a cybersecurity channel. But enterprise software is differentiated from consumer apps and the Internet of Things. While tech valuations in the market have experienced a downturn, their bifurcation within the trend, consumer-driven and internet-focused companies have been hardest hit, corresponding with the rise of inflation. Enterprise software companies have fared better on a whole as the business recognizes the high return of investment a software solution provides. So that's Oracle. That's the big guys, right? When you do an enterprise solution, right, you're talking about a CRM or a whole accounts payable, accounts receivable, ServiceNow, kind of doing all the stack together and make it work, right? That's an enterprise software where you doing multiple divisions, multiple departments. And it's those things are expensive. I remember trying to do SAP 20 years ago. It was a $10 million installation for that, right? It was for a Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company, right? So when you do enterprise software, right, that's a different level of software. I try to tread into that, right? Because the pay is good, and once you get it in there, it's hard to rip out, and they pay you a lot to get it installed, get it ramped up, right? And I'm talking to a project manager on Thursday, so we're going to talk about how does project management play a role into getting all this good stuff scheduled, right? Getting it developed, getting it deployed, right? Getting it tested, right? So touch a little bit about that. So let's look at the other things for that. Smart software investing, disciplined approach. Investors who maintain discipline and remain focused on buying quality business. Durable underwriting standards are likely to fare better. This includes pursuing a measured approach, deployed capital at continuous pace over the life of the fund. Shout out to Tim. She's always talking about investing in stock, right? I do usually do it through my 401k. Sometimes I buy individual stock, right? But when you talk about investing in it, once again, he's doing it at a higher level, but it's easy to make money at the smaller. I've owned Oracle for years. I own a little Apple. I own a little Microsoft right before they bought Azure because Microsoft was really down. So I bought it and Azure got hot, right? So their stock went up. So, like you said, there's always a lot of tech plays you can make and smaller companies you can try to get in because a lot of times you will figure it out before they get hot and the general public does, right? So there's always things about that investment. Let's see what it's most enterprise software. Nope, most enterprise software. Most enterprise software use open source, but now most enterprise software is closed source. The reason why is when I do enterprise software, my whole company's profit and the way they're run is on based on that. And the problem with open source is a lot of times is you don't get that type of support you need, JM. So that's why they spend that stuff on Oracle and IBM and have Price Waterhouse Cooper install it because if something goes wrong, I need to have support. I need one neck to choke too. But if you look under those, and I looked under those, Oracle's super bad about that. They use Apache and Tomcat underneath in their software that they do enterprise. But a lot of times, JM, open source, especially from a federal perspective, they're not using the right encryption. So Oracle takes Tomcat and gives it that government encryption model, right? It gives it before MySQL got to the level, you need an enterprise database. Originally, 10 years ago, I would never put 1 million records or 10 million records in MySQL. It just couldn't scale. Where Oracle database could do that, and you get all the government encryption and encryption at rest, encryption at transit. He had to be FIPS 140-2, which means the government's got to sign off on it. And to get that, it's 100,000 JM. So that's why you don't see a lot of open source things in what I would call enterprise. Enterprise for me is a company with probably over 5,000 employees. You run in multiple divisions, and you're gonna spend about $1 million on your whole enterprise of software. So if you're a decent sized state government or Fortune 2 or 3,000, that's what I mean when I talk about enterprise, JM. So focus on founders' relationships. Shout out to that. That's Warren Buffett. Meaning when you buy a company at that level, you want the founders involved, right, and control them. And Warren Buffett's like, he lets them run their own division sometimes. If he feels your company's good, the majority of enterprise software companies either run or influenced by the original founders. Founders look to scale their companies to new heights and looking for an experienced partner who shares their vision, knows how to help to achieve sustainable growth, especially during turbulent market times. So a lot of times you get to a certain size when you get your company, you just need a cash infusion. A lot of people will sell an Oracle. I'm trying to think of Salesforce because they probably got 1,000 salespeople with contacts. So if you're trying to sell your new database or your new, they already got contacts in Fortune 500 companies, government companies, and state contracts. But once they get your product, right, they can start selling and just scale just on their sales team alone. Like I'm gonna interview this guy that for Salesforce. He used to work for Oracle, and he does enterprise sales, and he knows everybody in Indiana, Detroit. I think what his other market is. I want to say Kentucky. So he can just walk into those offices with those CIOs and talk about software off the bat. So my man JM says. So the most software developer companies make most of their money by creating software or by providing support or support assigned to a third party. It depends on most of their it's a double-edged sword. Usually how it works is if you pay $100,000 for a piece of software, JM, most of the time, most of the big boys, they charge you 30% a year in maintenance. So if you sell $1 million, you get 30,000 300,000 a year just on maintenance. Right? Some of the big companies. But two is Oracle got to a point where they would sell to big companies, but medium-sized companies were loving their database. We're talking mid 2000. So what they did is they sold anything over $500,000. They would sell anything under that JM. They let the small guys eat and let the third party guys do that. So what they would do is they would make their money on the database, right? Then they would give the support money and they would charge them this Oracle. You've seen them gold and silver partners. They got to pay in to get that, right? So they would take part of the maintenance fee from the smaller companies and they would just let them do the work. So they would eat. So they would eat off the smaller companies by taking a percentage, and they would take all the big clients. Because two is after a while, if you're at a certain size, it doesn't pay for them to come out, meaning you can't really afford what their consultants charge. Consultants for the big guys, and Struggle Security knows this. You get junior people for 300, you get practice managers for 500. Medium-sized companies can afford that, so they let the third parties eat off of that, JM. So that's how I used to work, and it's getting a little easier now because a lot of software as a service. You don't come in and install it like you used to. When I was 2005, I used to have to come and build a server and cut up your NAS drive and get you 9 spindles for the Oracle database because I should install it across on some. Now you'd be like, click a button and just run the service, right? So that changed the game with software as a service, James. So the cloud is kind of broken down that model. But what they did is Oracle says, hey, we got the database, just pay us a monthly rent. So now they do all of that. So they don't need as many people because hardware, software with the clouds quicker. You just rent the database now, right? So they don't have to come and install it. They don't have to have 5,000 consultants, right? Because now you running software as a service. You can run it in Oracle's cloud, AWS's cloud. I think Azure runs Oracle, right? So there's so many different flavors for you to get it now. So, but in the old days, that's how they used to do it. So you're getting a little third party, but I think a lot of third parties are getting pushed out because everybody's just going to Oracle Cloud and just running it, right? You don't need consultants because you're not installing it on your infrastructure as much anymore. So my man's talking about developing talent within. Today's business leader face 2 challenges in hiring and retaining top talent. One of there is simply not enough talent, especially for roles requiring in-demand technical skills to help them grow to the top line. 2, wage inflation means companies can spend more on the salaries, which are already generally the biggest expense. Talent best practices design and develop talent from within can mitigate wage inflation and increase employee satisfaction and retention. Ooh, I'm tired. But long story short is, and most people try to do this, is promote from within, keep your talent. The problem is cloud, cybersecurity, the talent's so thin. People, once you get it trained, unless you paying Google money and AWS money, people gonna come and take your talent. I worked at a couple companies where we were talking about how do you keep young people, right? By the time you get them trained up, they could go make twice the money they make with you, and you can't afford to pay them that, right? So if you get them in the cloud, right, they're gonna be gone in 3 years. So, right, I was talking to one of my state CIOs, and I probably try to interview her in a couple months, and she trying to train young talent and retain it was super hard. So we just came up with this philosophy: is you just need to train them and know they're gonna leave after 3 years. So you need to have somebody else in the pipeline, right, to train them, right? So especially in the state. They're going to leave after 3, or they might stay to 10 because they get a partial pension, but they definitely going to leave after that, right? So keeping that talent and training is super hard. So I got a couple of CIOs going to come on and talk about that. Let me know if that makes sense, JM. I was kind of rambling a little bit. Growing a business rather than priming for exit, creating sustainable business for long-term value. Plan is likely to lead to better exit outcomes, pursuing short-term growth at all costs. The former approach builds healthier, stronger, larger companies, ultimately more attractive to buyers, especially strategic in today's thing. So he likes to purchase company, get them set up, get their financials set up, get their enterprise software up. And the cool thing is when you do something like this, and Oracle I know is real good, and IBM's doing good at that. You buy 3 or 4 companies, you stitch them together because when you put them together, they make an enterprise software, business that you could use. Well, one guy might be having a database and one guy might have a CRM. And we're gonna look at one advertisement company, they put their stuff on top of blockchain, right? So how to use those 3 things together, stitch together. Now you have an enterprise offering that you could charge more money. Where separately they were like, okay, decent database, decent that. You put it all together, right? Now you got an enterprise offering, right? So that's one thing you do when you put together. I call it an incubator because a lot of times we get incubators together. Companies inside of incubators start working together and sharing talent and sharing resources, right? So you can scale together as a group. Right. So his thing is private equity and capital, flagship, middle market, large cap, data, technology. Then he's got a foundation, low to middle market, software, data, and technology. He's really in all this stuff, right? Endeavor, low to middle, high growth, perennial, mid market, large cap enterprise, data, technology. And some of these companies, we'll talk about. He bought these different companies. Just Ping is some he actually, I should have did a little more right up. Right there is he actually took that to the New York Stock Exchange. And when you do that, right, you sell stock and you get a large infusion of cash, right? So that's probably the big move he wants to do is get them out in the New York Stock Exchange, right? And you get that that's how you become a billionaire when you get that stock money, right? You can print out a ton of stock, keep some in the treasury, keep sending it out. If it's hot, people buy them, your stock price go up, right? That's what everybody's trying to. And I think I should have did that. One mistake I made in my life is I probably should have went to Silicon Valley and tried to get some of the restricted stock options probably 10 years ago when I was in my 40s, right? So that's part ownership when you get stock options, right? And you get it. But two isn't we were talking about that, is you got to be careful because I did get some stock in an insurance company and it was underwater, meaning the company never progressed. So your stock's got to hit a certain strike price. My stock never hit that price, so I never got to cash out, right? So I had, I think, $5,000 of stock that was worthless. I talked to my ex-boss. He's going to come on here. He had a crazy amount. He looked like he was going to cry when I started talking about it because I think he probably had about 10,000 shares. If they would have hit for $100 or something, he probably could have been a millionaire. But long story short, that company tried to buy a bigger company. They couldn't eat and they end up going under. So that's kind of what happened. What's up, Jabron? Congratulations. I saw you on LinkedIn. We need to hook up, man. Talk about a few things. Friend of mine's talking about doing a little digital work. I know that's kind of in your realm. I've been toying around with it. So yeah, we'll get together. I'll reach out to you. Would it be cheaper for organizations to hire their own developers to create support Thanos software as opposed to buying it from a company like Oracle? Depends on what it is. Most likely no, JM, because what happens is Oracle has a suite of technologies that they bought and used from I appreciate it, Jabron. From if I'm buying a full ERP with accounts payable and accounts receivable and all that stuff, and Oracle has that written out with the switches already written, and they've got it running on companies and all the bugs worked out. When you do something that big, Jim, you got to worry about bugs, you got to worry about development, and people figured out that most of this software was written the same way, just a little different for each company. It's just cheaper to buy a package of it and roll it out, right? Because, like we said, retaining that talent and trying to keep that talent, especially now, it's a lot easier, JM, because everybody's just doing it as a service, like ServiceNow, a ticketing system. I don't think you can write a ticket system as good as when you can just get on ServiceNow, probably pay $4 or $5 a user a month and just rent it. Right. And if anything happens, you just yell at ServiceNow. Because two, you gotta remember, JM, if I'm doing that, a lot of times people were running in their own data center, right? Even if I spin it up on AWS, right, I still got to have that AWS talent to keep it up, right? Where if I'm just running ServiceNow for ServiceNow service, they handle all that admin, they handle all that program. If I need something new, I can just write an enhancement ticket. And if they like it and other customers will use it, they'll develop it for me. I wouldn't say for free. It's in my maintenance contract, but I think there's a break even for that, JM. But two is if it's a small company, like you said, I would go open source. There's Sugar CRM and other stuff that's pretty good as open source. So I would do the open source and just try to maintain it myself. But if I got some size and it's mission critical, state, Fortune 1000 or 2000 company, I'm just gonna rent it as a service, JM. Less headache too, because I laugh, and me and my homies, we talk about this. They've been trying to get rid of programmers for the last 30 years. It was case tools, generators, CRM. So they've been trying to get, because people are expensive, JM. So they've been trying to get rid of programmers so ever since I've been in my 30s, they've been trying to get rid of programmers. It was, like I said, it was generators, then it was CRMs, then it was, I don't know, the hot new thing. So now it's usually cheaper. Hey, Professor, what's your email? ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. Just shoot me an email, NC. I'll check it out. Give me a couple days, man. I'll be late on my email. Like, I do a better job. So talent is the challenge to find. Yeah, talent's almost impossible to find. Let me take that back. When you got money like AWS, Google, Facebook, right? If you PwC or the big, they got them. But if you're a mid-sized, because what happens is, like I said, I was working for a large state company. You become the trainer for the big companies. Like I said, AWS reached out to me because I was doing AWS videos. I need a little more lab, and I knew I was a little early, but I just went. The crazy thing is, and I'm gonna talk about that on my channel, is I had a 6-hour interview. 1 hour was tech. The rest of it was, are you a corporate fit? How do you fit? What's your behavior? They were calling it like nomics, like they were trying to gauge my behavior. And, I made a couple critical mistakes. I got to get it together in my old age. But yeah, so the small companies become training fees for the big companies. Once again, some different companies he bought. We're gonna go through all of them, but we'll go through a couple of them. So shout out to them. I think he said he owned, and we'll look at the website. I think he owned 100 companies, so he's buying them. So let's look at that real quick. I see I got them. Let's take a look. I like this company. We're talking about some of his future companies. I like what they were doing.
Ironically, the writing of software is the bottleneck to digital transformation. And so low-code has a fantastic opportunity to usher in a whole new pace. QuickBase is in the low-code, no-code market. And what that means is we empower people closest to the problems, software to automate things that they try to do manually and tediously every day. We have about 5,500 customers. Many of them are small businesses. When COVID first started to really hit it hit them hardest. Our CX team did a masterful job of reaching out and engaging. And what we found was two common paths. One was they didn't want to stop using our capabilities. It's built into how they do their work. Others did ask for some sort of financial reprieve in the short term. So we worked through both of those different mechanisms just to try to help them get through. Our first step was something we called Project Grace, and it was a grassroots movement. It was something that employees in our company came up with, that they volunteered for, and they created a range of template applications for first responders.
So that was cool. Like I said, no code is super hot. The company owns. They gave people grace. Then what they did is create templates. What happens is when companies create, and people do this all the time. Apple's, that's how they made their money, right? In the App Center, you got programmers that create apps that businesses use. You just take a piece of it, right? They sell it, they get 70, you get 30, right? So they create an ecosystem that's hot. They did that for the no code of for their product, right? So I think that's a blueprint that a lot of people from a corporate standpoint when doing. I think a lot of people do that to consumer, Apple and Android. A lot of people start doing this, especially in the open source arena, like JM said. So
That moved into what we call phase 2, which was back to work. And we've created over 750 apps on our platform now that have been created by our customers for things like employees self-reporting their health conditions before they come to the office, managing facilities to make sure there's fewer people and de-densifying how they're laid out. Resilient supply chain is a big one. Most people's supply chains have been turned absolutely upside down. Whole new bunch of vendors they need to bring on board. How do you work with these vendors? How do you validate these vendors? That's a good example of supply chain transformation problems that we're helping customers move forward with. As someone who took over as a CEO during this time of COVID, one of the things that I think is enabled.
So that right there, that's probably gonna be the next project. I pick projects to work on to help me get better to lab. So I think my thing is I do a lot of vendor certification and vendor reviews from a security perspective. I don't see a lot of programs, especially from my small and mid-sized company, that just ask basic security questions, right? Because so many people are getting hacked, so many people are just getting taken advantage on by brute force. So I'm hoping to do a small app, maybe no code, and just ask some basic security questions. So when you onboard them, right, there's onboarding stuff you got to ask from a vendor perspective. But now I work for large customers. They have security questions, but I don't see a lot of mid-sized to smaller companies even ask any security questions. So
I mean, have better connections more quickly. It's just to be vulnerable. Emotionally, it feels like it's your burden, but quickly get on a call with a bunch of other folks, across the technology industry, realize many of them are dealing with some of the same challenges.
that was kind of cool. That's one of his company. QuickBase is weird because I think I use that. Well, so long story short, I put the link, Vista Equity Partners. So they got a lot of different things about their companies from their company portfolios right around there. No, Jam, I did not get paid for that 6 hours, man. You trying to get the big money, you gotta do it on your own validity, your own time. What they gonna pay me for? I mean, I'm trying to get on at AWS. They had so many interviews, man. It took them, I want to say 2 months to squeeze me in. I was kind of doing it more as an informational thing, but no. And two is I just want to see what it's like. No, JM, I had to eat that. I had to eat that 6 hours. I had to take PTO and eat that, JM. That's part of the game, man. That's part of the game. But I feel you. I wish I would have got paid. But once again, I really enjoyed their interview. Like I said, I'm gonna talk about it. It was just so different. Ping, that's cool. Yeah, Ping is. I guess I've never really heard of it, first gen, but I guess they have a. Long story short, if you go on NYSC, it must be popular if you get in stock market and people buying stock in it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to dig into that a little bit. First gen, I've never really heard of, to be honest. Good morning, man. All good with. So yeah, so that's one of the other things. So what's this other thing here? Okay, there, yeah. Two is he's got a little website. Make that a little bigger with positions all over. So we look at a company. So when you get on their site, right, they got, their technology site. So they got a lot of technology, senior analysts, senior operation analysts. I think first gen is in finance. I think they have some finance director. I think maybe apply for it and see what's going on, man. We should do an informational interview, right? So I looked up kind of my thing. I think it was functions. I think they had security. They had security. Was it cloud? Clear. That's the company portfolio, job functions. I thought they had security. That's cloud security. Yeah, let's look up cloud. So yeah, they had cloud development. Let's see what's on the cloud range. They got a couple senior site reliability engineer, both in Texas. I think they had development. So they got a little more development, right? They got different companies: Canada, New Delhi, Austin, Texas. Shout out to Austin. I need to go see BH in Austin. Shout out to Black Heights. But now, so you can go out there. So yeah, they got a ton of software jobs, different levels: project manager, director, a Bangalore. Did you? Okay, let's see what my man did. Did you also work in tech sales? Nope, I never worked in tech sales. I was a little upset. I've helped people in tech sales. They should have gave me a piece of the sale, JL. But no, I've never worked in tech sales. That's probably one of the few things I've never done. is work. I've worked in tech sales, but it's weird. I worked on the other side. What do I mean by the other side? Is my client sells me. We want to buy this software. We gotta we want to use it for the DOD or HIP or hospital. So I have to help that company with making sure their security compliance, your policies and procedures, you're using the right encryption, you using the right subnet, how are you using it? Well, what can we do to only, stay in AWS's internal networking? So I help sales team, but I never got a cut of sales jam. I told the guy from Oracle he owed me $1 million because I helped him get into a couple of state accounts, because I was on the helping my client buy their software and make sure their software can run a DoD workload, a HIPAA workload, or FISMA, which is a DoD workload. So now, but I've never worked in sales, so I've actually reached out to a homie of mine at Salesforce and see if I can get on their compliance team because they have compliance once again selling to states and government, and they need that expertise to help them to get in JM. So I've been thinking about I've been listening to Black Heights, man. I need some of that Black Heights money. Shout out to him. It's been on my mind, Jam, but professionally I haven't. Like I said, I've been on the client side helping people get in. So this one I thought was super interesting. Is that it? This had me thinking. Shout out to AI and ME, formerly known as Engineering Cannabis. So this one had me thinking. Oh yeah, here it is.
MediaOcean is a mission-critical software company focused in the advertising and media industry. In any industry where you're processing billions and billions of transactions and billions of dollars, and you need a system of record that everyone in the ecosystem can agree to, and that's MediaOcean.
What IBM does is build what's called enterprise-level blockchains. We make the foundational layer of an entire business process. Partnering with MediaOcean couldn't be a more perfect solution because MediaOcean is already tied into almost the entire end-to-end process of media buying. By integrating their platform, their software onto our blockchain, we're effectively covering that whole end-to-end process.
We're informing IBM's roadmap as it relates to blockchain. And very quickly, we're realizing that we're one of the leaders, not only in our industry, but overall in blockchain.
In the old days, the media buying industry was fairly simple, right? It was brand, ad agency, publisher. There was three parties and typically one measurement source or data source, Nielsen for television or MRI for print.
There was a level of trust that always existed between the ad agencies and their clients, the end marketers. And that trust over the course of the last few years, because of all the innovation that's gone into digital, that trust has been broken.
Blockchain changes that. Essentially, blockchain creates a shared, secure, and a distributed ledger so that if multiple parties are engaged in a transaction, a single transaction can be captured, which makes reconciliation process really easy. And bringing all of this data together, there are other technologies such as AI and machine learning that can be applied into this data once it's organized across the supply chain.
I am constantly thinking about how the media and advertising industry is going to be disrupted and how we maintain that market share and continue innovating. And that's something that we tackle with every day. What we're building at MediaOcean, I believe our grandkids are going to read about in books. And that's our mission, is to change the game.
So that's one of the Vista companies right there, getting into the the blockchain game. So that's something I kind of want to start playing with. AWS has their quantum ledger that sits on top of blockchain, right? So when you change something, you can't change it again, right? You just got to add to it, or create something new that links back to it. So I thought that was interesting from Vista Equities. Obviously, they're on the cutting edge because some of their, I'm calling them divisions or sub companies, right, or using blockchain. And for some reason, I think that's cool. And a lot of y'all know AI and ME, formerly known as engineering cannabis. We're always talking about blockchain and smart contracts, right? All that kind of loops together, and kind of what's the future look like for that, right? That's, of course, that's the top of the pyramid. Those guys get paid, right? So cool thing is with AWS, a lot of times you can run that stuff for free, and just with Java coding, you can create a smart contract and just see what that will look like and what the future of that you could do with putting that on a blockchain ledger. So I just thought that was interesting in one of his companies. So I think, let's see. Anybody got any questions? Let me drop the link, see if anybody wants to come up. So I'm trying, I think that's it. I just want to touch on that. Like I said, I like to do a few CEOs. I've done Elon Musk, I've done Jeff Bezos. So I was like, yeah, let me do something. So I probably do the worldwide technology guy from that. Then I'm definitely going to do Larry Ellison, probably Sergey Brin, the Google guys. They're always doing, different stuff and kind of how that relates for the future. Probably Salesforce. Like I said, I got a Salesforce salesman coming on probably in the next couple of weeks. Then I probably talk about Mark Benioff is their CEO. So he's a different type of cat guy. And he actually worked for Larry Ellison before he spun off Salesforce now. So it's interesting to see those guys kind of go back and forth. So let me see, I'm gonna spin that up. So that's all I got. Drop any questions in there. So hump day's tomorrow. So just trying to get over the hump. Never ending. Like I said, I just like to see he was doing something different. I like to see diverse people doing, especially enterprise software. A billionaire. I think it's only 5 of them, 6 of them. Well, I take that back. JC said it's him, Ree, and Kanye. So I had those 3. We might got 6 now, right? So shout out to those guys. So, but nah, so that's it. I'm interviewing somebody 2 on Thursday. Project manager. We always talk about what gets the bag that you don't have to be super technical in. Project managers it. And then I actually worked with her personally a couple years ago. So she always helped the security team, just bringing it up, keeping track of what we need, bringing up compliance in all those meetings, and take a little pressure off of me sometime. So we're gonna do that definitely on Thursday at 2. If you're not available, just catch her on a replay. Like I said, I'm starting interviewing more people. So there's some different type of people. Like I said, I got a couple CIOs, a CISO, some other people, just high level people. And 2, hopefully, get some contacts if somebody needs to get some employment. So I'm trying to get some of those contacts up, get a little pipeline. But no, JM, I never worked in tech sales. I've helped them on the other side. I should have asked for a percentage. And no, JM, I did not get paid for that 6 hours of hell I took at AWS when I started arguing with the federal evangelist. That was a mistake on my part. Me and the federal compliance evangelist for federal contracts, we got a little discussion. I'm like, dude, you talking about it. I'm about that life. So we had a vigorous discussion. So it was all good, though. I kind of knew my fate. So no big deal. I might do it again, though. You need a little more labbing. So next summer, I'll be ready. So until as I've been bidding on work. So if I get a little work on it, I might share it out. So it's all good. So no questions. Appreciate y'all joining me. Once again, you see me, I'm putting out content. Check out my videos. I'm gonna do a playlist with all the with the CEOs I've talked about. Get a little playlist of that. If you're trying to get in the compliance game, let me know. That's really how I make my money. I do federal compliance. I'm a consultant, so I actually do FedRAMP, NIST, 800-53. If you Google it, long story short, these are the federal requirements you need to do software for the federal government. DOD, you got HIPAA, FISMA, FERPA for kids. My fault. I'm a 3-letter acronym working in the government. My man knows that. Jabron knows that when you work in the government, you gotta have all your acronyms down pat. So I can acronym. Like, so there should be more now. Yeah, he is. So yeah, I'm gonna do the guy from Worldwide Technology. So yeah, I'm gonna do more diverse stuff on that first gen. So I'll probably do the Worldwide Technology because, to be honest, I'm familiar with the company. I'm not familiar with the guy, so I need to do that. So I probably do Worldwide Technology probably next time. Saturday, I think I'm gonna do AWS config, which is checking your AWS setup, like we talked about for federal compliance. So I'm gonna do that Sunday at 3. Would be my AWS. I always got to get those those acronyms down. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do first. And I'm gonna do I'm familiar with the company because he do a lot of federal work. I'm just not. I just never. I don't know who runs it. To be honest, I know he's got the thick mustache, but I can't even remember his name first gen. So I'm doing that for me too. So that's probably what we do next Tuesday at this time. Will be the Worldwide T guy. Let's see what he's doing and see what he's, kind of what I did here. See how he makes his money, what he's worth, how he grew up. So yeah, I'm gonna do the WWT, but I don't even know his name. David Stewart. Bingo. As soon as you said it, yeah. So I'm gonna do him next. Like I said, I just for some reason I always forget about him. I think because Robert Smith did the Morehouse thing. I think that's why he sticks in my mind a little bit more first gen because he got all that puff from the Morehouse because I never see. I see Robert Smith in Davos. Long story short, I love economics. It's just hard to make money at it. So I look at Davos Global Economics because they have a big IT thing in there. Like the world is flat, how IT is going to destroy jobs. So I look at Davos from an economics perspective, and Robert Smith's always there. I never see the WWT guy. Mexico checking in. You like Mexico? You got to check us out on the replay, Wayne Wallace. I'm glad you joined me. But yeah, we wrapping up. Check me out on the replay. But yeah, so that. Let's see. Stewards at 6B net worth behind Smith at 8 billion. It's funny. I thought Stewart was ahead of Smith. So see, I got to do a little. I got to do a little bit of that. And those guys never gritty me. If you're not in IT, if you ask the average person first gen, they definitely ain't heard those guys. You'll get Jay-Z, Rihanna, and Kanye before you get those two guys. So I think both of them worth more than all those. I gotta look and see what Jay-Z's worth. I thought Jay-Z was like 3 or 4 billion first gen. So yeah, like you said, just a different conversation. See how people move, right? Because like I said, I came here to help people with IT, specifically cybersecurity. It's just the bag is so big, and there's just so many ways to get in there. And with Kev Tech, Tech G, Keep It Techie, shout out to Struggle Security in the house. There's just so many people in this space that can help you get in this space and really make a good living. Like I said, I just been blessed, man. We talked about that. Only 6% makes $100,000. So it's once you work your way up there. And two is sometimes I flip flop. Me and Black Heights talk about that. A lot of times some days I wish I would have went in management so I could hire a team and get a team. But I had a team, man. It just wore me out, man. So sometimes your team's not good. And when you're a supervisor, you can't fire people, right? Supervisors kind of babysit and work with teams, right? So I had all the responsibility. But people were cool with my manager. I couldn't fire the people underneath me. So I told him he could take his management job. He could take his supervisor job, right? So, but that's one thing we need to talk about, another stream. tech, management, like we talked about, own your own company. There's different ways to do it. And to be honest, I don't have any regrets in my life. The only regret sometimes I have is, man, if I would have got that director, then I could hire some people that I want to hire, right? I got influence where I could talk to people and help people, but it's different when you director. You could say, I want him, and him, right? Or her, right? On my team, right? So that's kind of little regret, baby regret. Then I see supervisors struggling with their team. I'm like, no, I'm good, right? So we'll have that conversation later. But once again, ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. Let's see what Wayne. It's good to see you highlight Black people who made successful business tech building a challenge. But so that's true, Wayne. That's why I came here. We're gonna do my man David Stewart for WWT next week, 10 o'clock same time. So I'm gonna touch on that a little bit. So no, you're right. Shout out to First Gen. I couldn't remember the guy's name. I just see Robert Smith. So we're gonna do WWT, David Stewart next week. We're gonna do I'm interviewing 2 Eastern time, project manager. She's cool. We're gonna talk about project manager. She's gonna talk about getting PMP certified, how to get in it. Then I got another lady coming that does that too. So get 2 different perspectives, especially from that and cybersecurity. Because that's super rare. Because most project managers I deal with, they don't know jack about cybersecurity. So I got to tell them what to tell me. I tell you how I'm gonna do it, and you tell me to hurry up, right? So I always tease them like, I just told you all that. How you gonna tell me to hurry up? I gave you my timeline. So that's me always getting into it with project management. But that's another hidden bag. You don't have to be super technical. You just got to be detailed. Make sure the project. A lot of times you got a budget too. You got to make sure you're on budget. And you sometimes developers, you got to herd cats, man, to get them around. So that might be my third act when I get in my 60s. PM and just really slide on in, right? I'll be 55 this year, so I can see it, but it's not that close. I got another decade, so I'm trying to get these AWS certs, get into AWS cloud security. We know we're going cloud, so I got 4 certs. Yeah, I got 4 certs. I'm working on my other 2. Then I'm getting my shot at the CISP. So that's kind of my next decade, working on my my cloud security and what I need to survive and get paid over the next decade, right? Because cool thing about technology is you get on the right side of the cloud, you can easily make the right thing. It doesn't have to be the cloud, right? PM, AI and ME, machine learning, artificial intelligence, cloud. There's ways to get the bag, but you need to make sure you're getting on the right wave or the new technology so you can make money and slide on into the next decade. Because I've seen guys miss a decade and be broke. I've seen the mainframe guys not get with client server, right? And those guys just disappeared, man. I've seen guys do client server, couldn't do object oriented with Java, right? So SA is a friend of mine's a DBA. Being a DBA on AWS is a little different, and you don't need as many of them because AWS is the DBA. You just doing it. We call it application DBA work, where they do the setup and you just do the schemas, the columns, indexes, foreign keys, right? Help the development team do that, right? You got the whole DevOps thing too. What type of team would you need to build your own company? It just depends on what you're trying to build. I used to own a consulting company, so I had a help desk company in the 2000s. So depending on what you need, if you're trying to build a piece of software, right, you need some coders. You need to figure out what you want their language to be in, what in the database. 9 times out of 10, you want to be in the cloud, so you're gonna need some AWS expertise or some Azure expertise or whatever that cloud expertise you need in there, right? So it depends on what type of company you're trying to build. I'm working with a couple young guys that are building some nice companies. I signed an NDA, but I'm going on as their virtual CISO, right? They're trying to sell to the state, sell to the government. So I told them once they're ready and they get their technology built up, let me do a security review and let me make sure you got your policies, procedures, incident response, configuration management. Because when you sell a government, you need about 5,000 pages of paperwork, right? So once again, Wayne, it just depends on what you're trying to build. Let me see. I skipped my homie. You got 5 years until you 6. I do, Miss Creative. I can see it. PBO, I got to get back and working out, man. I just been eating during the pandemic. I got to lose a little weight, man. I'm over here looking like a broke Rick Ross, Miss Creative. I got to get it together at 60. One of my female friends, we cool. She said dudes go down after they get 60. They go downhill quick, Miss Creative. So I got to start working out, man. I got to get my Dwayne Rock on, man. I'm trying to be the Black Adam up in here. No, I'm joking. I was trying to use a few pounds, but yep, I got 5 more years until I'm 60. I can see it. I can see it. I was talking to my son today. He was like, where's the wheel at in case you pass? I'm like, I ain't trying to die no time soon, son. Pump your brakes. My grandson, he was like, I want to get the car. I'm like, dude, you 6. You can't even drive yet. What you talking about trying to get the car? Shout out to the grandbabies. Shout out to the grandbabies. They make me laugh. So, yeah, long story short, my grandson is scared of the dentist. So he went to the dentist and he actually bit the dentist, so they told him he couldn't come back. So I had to tell my grandson he can't be embarrassing the family. We have to tighten him up. So I love that, man. I love the grandkids. They cheer me up. But nah, yeah, Miss Creative, I only got 5 years. I'll be 60. Two, I tell young guys, shout out to the young guys, is time go by quick, man. I felt like I was 30 last week. Your 20s seem to go slow, 30s, man. Once you get to 40s, man, stuff is flying by, man. So yeah, yep, I saw that. So I dropped the link. I drop it one more time. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. So yeah, I'm gonna get the WWT ready for next week. We can talk about him, then So yeah, I like I said, he gave the money to Morehouse. I think that's why he's more widely known, and people, talked about the good and the bad of that in the manosphere. I'm gonna leave the bad part about it. Shout out to my man. He had a little tax issue, and they figured it out. So he got good lawyers. He got out his little tax issue with that. So look around. If you don't, then you will be in the ground. Facts. So yeah. So just gonna, like I said, health is wealth. Just get my eating back together. I've been eating horribly over the pandemic. Get back on. I ain't Adrian Nice. Get back on my keto and my intermittent fasting. Got to get my mind ready for that, Miss Creative. But yeah, I can't complain. Like I said, just grinding and working. Happy to be in tech. Things are pretty good. Just getting ready really for 2023's here. So just trying to get my goals ready for 2023 and what I want to accomplish. Yep, I've been trying to walk. It's getting a little cold. I'm in the Midwest. It's getting a little cold in the morning way. I was walking until it get a little darker. But nah, you're right. I'm about to get my Planet Fitness on. I think I got a membership. I might need to reactivate it. But two is, everybody have a nice day. Enjoy your hump day. Let's get it. Once again, professorblack@gmail.com. At least give me. I used to be a professor in real life. For people who don't know, I taught at junior community college for a decade. So we get 24 hours to read our email. So I'm still on that. And two is, I probably start teaching class on my YouTube channel. So that's one thing I want to start doing. I did a little bit before, so I want to get my interviews back, and I'm gonna figure out. I think I might do. I was doing an intro to computer security class, so I think I'm gonna update that and start doing that again. Pick a day for that. Yeah, that's what I need. The Midwest. I mean, we get that lake effect snow. Like, oh wait, you in Michigan. I'm in Indiana. I don't want to say where you at. Wait, I don't want to dox you, but I'm in Indiana, so I don't get that from Chicago yet, but it get down here. So my attorney's in Chicago. She said that lake effect coming off Lake Michigan, she said it'd be different. So two is, I probably be in Chicago a little bit doing some networking. They got tech in the hood, so I told them I was gonna help them out. And some other stuff. Now you're right. I gotta dress appropriately. For some reason I've been feeling real good lately. I think I'm gonna try to jog, Wayne. I don't know. I feel like I got a little jogging in me. So I go to work if you eat too many. Nah, facts. You're right, Miss Creative. So I'm trying to like you said, cut down my calories, get my salad. I was eating a lot of yellowfin tuna for protein. But no, you're right. You're right. I was gonna try to get to OMAD, Miss Creative, which is 1 meal a day. I was there a couple years ago before my mom passed. That kind of just threw me off. But yeah, I was doing 1 meal a day. The OMAD with the intermittent fasting. Shout out to OMAD, 1 meal a day. Once again, got my TLAs in there. Even though that's a 4 level, but yeah, I got my 4. My TLA get my OMAD 1 meal a day. So I was doing 1 meal a day. I could really tell the issue. And actually, I was on blood pressure medicine. I blacked out a restaurant because I lost so much weight. I need to get back on there. So now I definitely got to get back on my OMAD and my intermittent fast. But once again, check me out Thursday at 2. I'll be interviewing a friend of mine. She's a project management PMP certified PMI Institute. Then we do WWT. What's up, Michael Johnson? Glad you can make it. When's your next stream? My next stream is, if you go to my channel, and the band I got them, but my next stream is 2:00 Thursday. I'm interviewing a project management PMP person. Sunday at 3 is going to be my usual AWS class. I think I'm going to do, it's called AWS Config. You run it and it tells you if your setup's good for government work. So we probably look at NIST 800-53, which is government compliance. I've taught community college for 10 years, and I'm actually a security analyst / engineer specializing in federal compliance. So my job is when vendors come in or the company I work for bid on stuff or send me out as a consultant, I'm usually going on large government compliance because they got to be HIPAA compliant, FISMA compliant, or what they call FedRAMP compliant, which your stuff is in the cloud and it has to be able to run a DoD workload or a HIPAA workload. So that's what I do in real life. So Wayne got me getting a personal trainer, telling me to start catching the paddling like John, a good parachute. Now you right. You were, a lot of people don't know. I actually ran a college cross country in 1988. I was on a college cross country team, and I was upset because I was like, dude, I didn't come here to run 10 miles. Y'all tricking me. Just count your calories, make small facts. Looking forward to the Thursday stream. Yeah, that's cool. Check it out. If not, it'll be 2. You'll see it if you go on my channel. You'll see there. I gotta update the thumbnail. Look pretty raggedy, but a PMP, like I said, a friend of mine. We work together, so she's gonna go over PMP stuff. The 2 is Sunday at 3. I usually do it through the football, so you can check the replay. I'll be doing AWS config, how to make sure your AWS workload is compliant to run federal work. I get a lot of small businesses want to do federal work, so help them have the paperwork and help them validate whatever their software is can run that type of work. And 2, for a couple smaller countries, I do virtual CISO for people I like. I got a small percentage in their company. I think they're doing great software, but, I don't charge them a lot of money. And, if they get it, cool. If not, why did you stop teaching? Me and the millennials seem to argue a little bit, and I don't let kids tell me what to do, Miss Creative. So this kid tried to tell me what to do. They complained to the dean, and the dean told me to do something I didn't want to do. So I was like, I'm going to do something else. So I might try to go to that was a community college. A 4-year college has asked me to come actually and teach AWS for them. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to do that, Miss Chris. And 2 for me is I just did it for 10 years and our curriculum was stale. They wouldn't let me change it. So there's a myriad of things. So long story short, it was the pandemic. I did half of my syllabus so we can get to a point. Somebody complained that I didn't do a full syllabus. The dean complained about it, and I told him why I did it. So then we I was like, dude, I don't let kids tell me what to do, man. He didn't like it. Then he told me he probably going to release me. And I said, no problem, man. I do go do something else, man. Right. Like I said, I get asked to help people all the time. So just a little creative differences, Miss Creative. Some of that's me being old and hard-headed. Some of that is I don't like how universities change and kowtow to kids. I just don't That's just not in my nature. So I just not in my nature. PNP, is that a transistor? No, that's a project management something. Just means you certified in project management. I guess just Google it real quick. I could Google it, but yeah, so just check it out. So yeah, and that's it. Once you get those, most of those people easily make six figures, right? So if you think my generation is bad, then uni is gonna be much worse. No, I don't think your generation is bad. I didn't say that. What I think is, I don't I don't think any generation is bad. I think, like with anything, is I think the pendulum swings. I think the generation before me was too militaristic, salute the flag. I think the Z's are a little too much. We're gonna wear a helmet, we get our way all the time, and we could complain all the time. So, right. So I think there's a balance too. And some tools, and I tell people my age and older people, sometimes, and I love my mom, she taught me this when she passed away. Sometimes old people just need to get out the way, Miss Creative. It might be just my time to go do something else. My mom taught Sunday school for 40 years. She passed away about 3 years ago. And I was like, why you stop teaching Sunday school, Mom? She goes, I'm old. Young people got to do something. She said, I can watch them, I can help them, but young people got to step in and do something. So it's just probably my time to step away. And that's gave me time to get out my AWS certificates. I've gotten more raises by getting my AWS certificate, Miss Creative. So it was just time for me to do something else. So it's all good. Yeah, shout out to the millennials, man. So like I said, where's my switch these out of pocket? So yeah, shout out to millennials. I'm not saying they're bad. Just sometimes we don't mesh, which is cool because I'm old and curmudgeon, Miss Creative. So it was just my time to step away. So it was cool. And to me, really, it wasn't the millennial, right? It was the dean, I believe, giving a millennial too much power, right? So, but like I said, it's just us. It was just a disagreement, And like I told him, dude, I'm old. It's your department. I'm not upset. I got plenty of work to do. I can always get work, right? So, and two is I can just teach on YouTube. I just come to the if I want to teach, which I've done for a while. If I want to teach Introduction to Security, I can do it on my YouTube channel. I reach way more people, and I think I have an effect if I taught it on YouTube, right? Because there's stuff the university's not doing to help you get a real job, right? They spoon food you stuff. There's stuff where I want to have the red team attack the blue team, right? For final projects, right? So when the red team attack, the blue team can defend, look in logs, try to quarantine it. Some bigger thought pattern stuff is created. So yeah, so I'm cool. Like I said, I love the millennials, just more patience. People are granted. I agree with you, Miss Creative. Like I said, I love the millennials. And you can tell them I hang out with B2B before the billions, Max the Million, my man First Gens in the house. Man, I love them guys, man. I'm just trying to give them a little something so they can run with the baton, Miss Creative. But I ain't gonna let you tell me what you're gonna do in my class. But facts. But you're right. I'm trying to work on that. I'm working on that. Go on, get the cash with the gifts with that. Don't let the foolishness block the facts. So, but it's all good. Like I said, I'll probably start teaching. I did that when I first started, so I'll probably get my introduction to computer security class, create some labs, and so I can help people who want to get in that and learn and get the bag, right? And I can help way more people than I did at the university, because the university had me in the box, right? It's a community college. They kind of had me in the box, and I want to do a few bigger things. My class, we were going on, they actually been hitting, where you at? So I'm like, dude, they let me go. So, because I was doing digital field trips, and people like, we the first. So I'm cool with a couple of the original cybersecurity groups. So I told them I was bringing my class to the security group. So, and it was all remote. So we were on Zoom. They were asking questions. So they really liked when we were going on digital field trips. So I was thinking of, I think super inventive ways and super different ways. A little bit of electrical engineering skills. That's how you learn to flip the bits. Shout out to Binary 101, flip the bits. I did electronics class, a little breadboarding. I don't even know if they do breadboards in West Hole. So yeah, no, shout that out. But now let me get out of here, y'all. I got to get up in the morning at 8. Changing people's lives. I learned some from you listening. I appreciate that, Miss Creative Intuitives. If you need to, just like I always tell people on my channel, anything tech or cybersecurity, just put it in the chat and we can pivot. I can pivot to anything. If not, I can send you to AI and ME, Black Heights. I'm cool with so many people. You trying to get your Linux on? I can send you to Keep It Techie, Tech G, Master IT. There's so many people in here. Jabron, I need to get Jabron to start doing his digital classes online. I need to get some of that so I can start pinpoint people when I send out my mass emailings, man. I'm gonna start doing my Facebook and stuff, man. So Jabron's in the house. There's so many people that in this space. So I tell people I'm gonna send you to somebody. A lot of times people send people to me. So Black Heights will send somebody, Kev Tech, and I always tell them, you cool with those guys, you good with me. So I need that blueprint professionally. Facts. We can definitely talk. We can chat about it. So yeah, but that's it. Like I said, I'm giving people my blueprint. But like I said, there's a lot of blueprints, man. I'm trying to get that TAM blueprint, man. She talking about making 400,000. I feel like I'm behind you, Brian, talking to the women in Linux. I don't know anything about this stuff. Just like your contest. I appreciate it. I like try to do different things, and I try to do a commercial cybersecurity where it's cybersecurity for everybody. Like I did don't let TikTok get you fired. She was talking technology on TikTok and got fired. I just did one. Poor old people are getting hacked and they're getting their 401k stolen. So I said, you need to talk to your parents and your uncle. And this one lady was on TikTok crying because her father was so independent that he didn't want to ask her for help. And he got scammed out of $500,000. Right. So I try to do stuff like, oh yeah, go check out Women in Linux, and she shows you the Rex, and I've seen Rex. Like, I don't want to say too much. When I interviewed for AWS with stock restrictions, I was getting up there. I ain't gonna say 4, but when you put in stock, when you get those restricted stocks at Amazon, just Google Amazon and L6, you'll see the payment plan. So when you start doing AWS, Amazon. Cloud security. I interviewed for right under supervisor, and they said in a year if I got hired, I would have made supervisor. So if you Google AWS L6, you will see those packages. So yeah, fact. Shout out to Tam. Yeah. So yeah, $400. Check out Women in Linux. She's showing you those AI and ME, machine learning, artificial intelligence are kind of definitely in that realm. Security, if you're a senior guy at a big firm, you can touch that. You can touch that. No. If you're in the web development part of that, like you said, you got to be in the director part of web development, right? So yeah, no, you're right, and that's one reason. I was a web developer. I did Oracle and Oracle Forms and Java connected to Oracle for 10 years, Wayne. The reason I got in cybersecurity was the money was so much better in cybersecurity better than web development. So, facts, Wayne, 100%. That's why I got in security. Because it was a natural leap. Because if you do development, it's called Purple Team. Most of your security starts with your web developers not validating input, SQL injection, command injection. They letting people upload forms with viruses and putting them right on the disk, Wayne. So my first job was this called Purple Team, doing application web security. If you look on my channel, I've got like 3 or 4 videos talking about how to lock down a web application, right? So that's how I actually transition in the cybersecurity. So if you do development now, you thinking about switching and you want to talk about getting that security bag. Shout out to me. Get that security bag. Check out Black Heights. Come see me. Purple Team. Just Google Purple Team. And basically it's just secure coding. So I went from secure coding to secure coding at DOD. I worked at DOD for 10 years. So that secure coding got me. It's called NIST, CMC, and FedRAMP. So that's high level how I pivoted into security, Wayne. My first love is developing. I'm starting going to do Java. I love it. I just make way more money doing cybersecurity because I like to build stuff, man. I like to hit the button, watch it go through my Java options, watch it hit my database, insert into my tables, spit out a PDF form and have it come back and scan it for viruses. I love development, Wayne. I like once again, and two is let you know I appreciate it. And two, Wayne, for me is once you start putting in stuff in production as a senior guy, I started getting PSTD, man. When stuff didn't work, I was getting yelled at. So it's less stressful doing cybersecurity, way. You wouldn't think it would be way less, man. Because I usually just validate people's stuff. When you put stuff in production and it don't run and it don't work and you scrambling, I tested it. I don't know why it didn't work. So, Wayne, I've been there, though, man. But I love development, man. I'm out of here. My old butt got to get up in the morning, man. I'm going to go get me a McDonald's cheese, eggs, and biscuit. Obviously, I'm not starting on my diet yet. Then I'm going to hit it in the morning, man. Get this bag. I'm out. Everybody have a great weekend. Check me out Thursday at 2 Eastern. 3 Eastern on Sunday, and I've been popping live lately. We're gonna do WWT next week. Talk about that. Good night. Oh, I appreciate that, Wayne. Let me know if you need me to. If you're looking for a certain topic, just let me know. If you got something in IT or cybersecurity, like I said, if you're a developer and you want to, I've done application security videos. If you want me to do another one of that, let me know. OWASP top 10 in it, let me know. Oh, there's my man in the house. I lead security. I love analysis, math, less stressful. Security about facts. Shout out to engineering cannabis. I didn't know if you see. I shared your channel. I shared your channel on my channel about 2 hours ago. Engineering cannabis, man, trying to get your users up. So I shared it. I'll make Keep It Techie share it. Yeah, like Keep It Techie work for me. I'm the OG. I'm gonna have Keep It Techie share it. Shout out to Keep It Techie. So there, I have him and Black Height share it. Now those are my guys, man. Anything they need, they know they can get from me. Once again, all people going to sleep. Everybody have a great weekend. Go check out AI and ME's channel. Great stuff. We always chopping it up. So I did high performance computing last week. He didn't join me on that one, but really talking about how I will build a machine learning to get him his data so he can do his analysis and training on it. So how would you move 1 billion rows? So that's what I did Sunday. So you cool, no problem. I would like for you to do some burp sweep tutorial. Okay, I've got a little burp sweep skills. I need to work on my burp sweep skills, so I'll break that down. Because from a cybersecurity perspective, especially Purple Team, I use burp sweep. So when you had your sessions, I can look at them as you pass them on the line. Number one, I shouldn't be able to read them because they should be encrypted. Then two, can I change them to make your backend do something you didn't expect your database to do, right? Or your middleware to do. So yeah, I've done a little stuff for testing from a security perspective using Burp Suite JM. So yeah, I can definitely do that. I'm out, everybody. I've been saying that for 15 minutes. Everybody have a good night. I'm out of here. Check me out on Thursday. We're gonna do the PM. Then AWS config on Sunday. Get my AWS on. Everybody have a good night.